Prince William has just blown the lid off 70 years of royal protocol, and mate, this could spark the biggest shake-up in modern British politics we've ever seen. What he said about Keir Starmer left the Prime Minister standing there like a stunned mullet, completely gobsmacked. And what unfolded next might just trigger the most explosive constitutional crisis since the abdication of Edward VIII. Breaking news. Less than an hour ago, Prince William rocked up at Westminster Abbey for what everyone thought would be a bog-standard ceremonial do. But trust me, nothing about this was business as usual. Instead of the classic polite smiles and handshakes we all expected, the Prince of Wales dropped 12 brutal words that turned the whole event on its head. My father's wisdom and dedication to this nation require no defence from any politician. The room went dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Keir Starmer, standing just a few feet away, looked absolutely rattled, white as a sheet. Cabinet ministers next to him fidgeted, eyes darting anywhere but at the prince. It was proper awkward. If you want to see how this royal showdown plays out, hit that subscribe button, because what's happening right now could rewrite the future of British politics, the monarchy, and the balance of power at the heart of Westminster. Here's how it all kicked off. Just 3 days ago, leaked WhatsApp messages blew up the internet, revealing that Starmer's inner circle had been plotting a coordinated campaign to undermine King Charles himself. The messages, allegedly obtained by senior Tory sources, showed Labour strategists scheming to paint the king as out of touch, interfering, and even a danger to democracy. One message from a Downing Street aide was especially dodgy. We need to make Charles the villain, old, unelected, meddling. The public needs to see him as the problem, not us. Blimey. The strategy was crystal clear: trash the king's reputation to prop up Labour's sinking poll numbers. But it gets even darker. According to leaked documents obtained by The Telegraph, Labour's top brass had been secretly wargaming this anti-monarchy operation for months. They'd even hired a team of American political consultants, the same lot known for running nasty attack campaigns across the pond, to fine-tune their messaging. The reported budget: over 300,000 of taxpayer cash. Let that sink in. While British families are tightening their belts to cope with skyrocketing bills, Starmer's crew was allegedly splashing your money to smear the crown, but William wasn't having any of it. Normally the Prince of Wales plays it cool, keeps well out of Westminster's mudslinging. But palace insiders say this time he'd had enough. He made a decision that royal staff are calling utterly unprecedented. He'd break royal protocol. He'd speak out, and he'd do it loud and clear, in front of the entire political establishment. Sources close to the palace say William spent 2 straight days crafting his statement with constitutional experts and senior advisers. Princess Catherine was reportedly his rock through it all, telling him, "Your father needs you. Britain needs you," and with those words a history was made. If not now, then when? Those 6 simple words, shared by a close family friend speaking off the record, revealed just how deep the emotion ran behind Prince William's decision. This wasn't some knee-jerk outburst. It was calculated, deliberate, and absolutely devastating. His exact words were calm as you like, but they hit with the force of a thunderclap. For centuries, the Crown has served this nation with dignity, wisdom, and unwavering dedication. My father has devoted his entire life to the people of Britain, to our environment, to our communities, to everything that makes this country great. His wisdom and dedication to this nation require no defence from any politician. That last word, politician, sliced through Westminster Abbey like a blade. Everyone clocked exactly who he meant. The target couldn't have been clearer. The reaction? Instant carnage. Within minutes, social media blew up. X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform went mad. Defend the Crown shot straight to #1 globally in under 20 minutes. Clips of William's speech went viral before Starmer's team could even bash out a statement. But here's where it went from bad to utterly catastrophic for the Prime Minister. As William spoke, cameras locked onto Keir Starmer's face, and it said it all. The same man who'd been so quick to have a pop at the monarchy days earlier now stood there frozen, pale as milk, looking like a schoolboy caught nicking biscuits from the staff room. Not angry. Not bold, just busted. Body language experts tore the footage apart on morning telly, pointing out his shaky hands, the tight swallow, and what one analyst called classic signs of public humiliation. It was a brutal watch. The contrast between a confident prince and a rattled PM was so glaring that even lifelong Labour supporters started having a wobble. Take Margaret Davies, 64. Retired nurse from Cardiff, Labour through and through. She posted a TikTok that went properly viral. "I've backed Labour through thick and thin." But watching Keir just stand there while a prince defends his dad? That's not leadership. That's weakness. That's shame. Her clip's now been shared over 800,000 times and counting. Meanwhile, the very people Labour claims to fight for are being left out in the cold, literally. British veterans, men and women who put their lives on the line for this country, are sleeping rough on the streets of London tonight. Michael Patterson, a 71-year-old Falklands veteran, was found last week sheltering beneath Waterloo Bridge in freezing conditions. His pension, after 40 years of service to the Crown, barely covers his medication. Through tears, he told reporters, "I fought for this country. I watched my mates die for this country, and now I can't even afford a roof over my head. Heartbreaking." And he's not alone. Official figures from Veterans UK, released just yesterday, show more than 6,000 former servicemen and women are currently homeless across Britain. 6,000 heroes with nowhere to go. And while Michael's sleeping under bridges, Downing Street's been chucking around cash like confetti, $1.2 million last month on diversity consultants and media strategists. That's taxpayer money going on executive pay, posh hotels for government advisors, and champagne receptions for Labour donors. One outrageous expense in the official accounts even shows $38,000 spent on strategic communication training, basically teaching junior ministers how to dodge straight answers. It's obscene. Morally bankrupt. Even the Daily Mirror, normally Labour's loudest cheerleader, had enough. Their front page yesterday said it all. Veterans freezing while Starmer plots against the King. That's not Tory spin. That's Labour's own base turning on them in disgust. And just when it felt like the whole thing couldn't get any more surreal, something historic happened. King Charles himself broke his silence. Not with fury, not with politics, but with the quiet dignity that defines the monarchy. At a private dinner inside Buckingham Palace last night, sources confirmed the King addressed Commonwealth leaders with words that'll be remembered for decades. "The Crown does not engage in political battles," His Majesty said firmly but calmly. "We serve, we do not rule. But we do not abandon the principles that have kept this nation steady through centuries of challenge." The context makes his words even heavier. In attendance were the Governors-General of Canada, the Prime Ministers of Australia and New Zealand, and representatives from 15 other Commonwealth nations. By speaking directly to them, Charles wasn't just talking to Britain, he was sending a message to the entire world, that the British Crown stands above politics, and that even in an age of chaos, some traditions are worth defending. Palace insiders say every single word of that royal statement was meticulously chosen, vetted by constitutional lawyers and crafted to send 3 messages at once. To Keir Starmer, "You've crossed the line, mate." To Prince William, "I stand with you." And to the British people, the monarchy stays calm while politicians lose their heads. The optics are absolutely brutal for Labour. On one side, a king who could have lashed out, who had every right to flex his influence, instead choosing restraint, dignity and class. And on the other, a Prime Minister who threw the first punch, went too far, and now looks petty, rattled and completely out of his depth. But here's where it gets properly dicey. Behind closed doors, senior figures in the House of Lords are plotting what one peer called a nuclear option. Lord Harrington, a crossbench veteran with 40 years in constitutional law, has been quietly consulting legal experts on whether the upper chamber can formally censure a sitting Prime Minister for attacking the monarchy. That hasn't happened since 1783. If the Lords go through with it, it would trigger a constitutional earthquake that'd make Starmer's position utterly untenable. The fact that serious legal minds are even entertaining the idea shows just how far Starmer's blunder has dragged Britain into uncharted waters. And here's the real kicker: 3 senior. Labour peers have privately confirmed they'd back the motion. That's members of Starmer's own party, ready to publicly rebuke their leader. The cracks inside Labour are now visible from space. The domino effect has been nothing short of chaos. The pound sterling nosedived 1.4% in early trading as investors fretted about the state of British politics. Billions wiped off pensions and savings in a matter of hours. Currency traders in the City of London described the atmosphere as borderline panic. One senior trader told Bloomberg, "Constitutional instability is the one thing markets just can't price in. When the foundations of the nation start wobbling, everything else becomes unpredictable." Labour's polling numbers, already in freefall, have now crashed to historic lows. The latest YouGov survey puts the Conservatives on 38%, Reform UK soaring to 26%, and Labour collapsing to 23%. For the first time in modern history, the party in government sits in third place. Third? Let that sink in, it gets worse. Among voters over 50, Labour's traditional heartland, supports collapsed to a dismal 17%. In the Midlands and Northern England, regions they must win to hold power, Labour now trails Reform UK by over 20 points. Even Labour's own internal data is grim. Party insiders admit they're staring down the barrel of losing 150 seats if a general election were held today, their worst showing since 1935. Meanwhile, the streets are kicking off. Protests erupted across London, Manchester, Birmingham and Glasgow, with tens of thousands flooding city centres. These aren't slick political rallies, these are angry Brits, furious at what they see as a betrayal of the nation's values. In Leeds, demonstrators carried a massive banner reading, "Respect our King, sack Starmer." The hashtag #ChuckSackStarmer trended worldwide for 18 straight hours, clocking over 4 million tweets. Even senior Labour MPs are now whispering about whether Starmer can even survive until Christmas, and the international backlash, savage. The Canadian Prime Minister's office praised the royal family's dignity and service, a clear dig at Starmer without naming him. In Australia, opposition leaders called the situation a disgrace, warning that attacking a constitutional monarchy could fracture Commonwealth unity. Even American networks, usually indifferent to UK politics, jumped in. CNN ran a primetime segment calling it Labour's spectacular self-destruction. Inside 10 Downing Street, it's absolute bedlam. Ministers shouting in corridors, crisis meetings called and cancelled, advisers leaking stories to save their own skins. One insider described it as political civil war. According to reports, Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves lost it completely, screaming at Starmer's chief strategist, "You've destroyed us. You've destroyed everything we built." And you can't blame her. Reeves spent months building up Labour's economic credibility, smoothing relations with business leaders, promising competence and calm. Now, in just 72 hours, Keir Starmer's miscalculation has torched the lot and dragged Britain into one of the most chaotic weeks in modern political history. Sources inside Whitehall are now describing WhatsApp groups that began as harmless strategy chats but have morphed into full-blown plotting sessions. One group, darkly named after Kay, has more than 30 Labour MPs actively discussing leadership succession plans. Leaked messages from that group show MPs comparing potential replacements, arguing over timing, and debating whether to oust Keir Starmer before or after the local elections in May. Another group, grimly titled Damage Limitation, is focused purely on surviving the next general election, with or without Starmer at the helm. One leaked message from a senior backbencher laid it out bluntly: "We're facing extinction. Either we act now or we're finished for a generation." So the question's no longer if they'll move against him, it's when. Even Cabinet Secretary Simon Case, Britain's most senior civil servant, looked visibly shaken leaving Downing Street last night. Sources close to him say he's never seen government in such utter disarray. And this is a man who's lived through Brexit, COVID and the Boris Johnson scandals. Insiders are saying this is worse than all of them combined. Case has reportedly drafted confidential briefings for the King, outlining possible outcomes, from snap elections to a minority government, even a national unity administration if Labour completely implodes. But the real bombshell, a set of leaked internal Labour polling data obtained by senior Conservative sources and passed to multiple outlets, showing results that are nothing short of catastrophic. When voters were asked whether they trusted Keir Starmer to respect British institutions and traditions, a staggering 79% said no, 79%. Even among Labour's own supporters, only 38% said they had confidence in his judgment. And if these figures are accurate, and independent polls are backing them up, then Starmer has lost the one thing no Prime Minister can survive without: legitimacy. Think about that. You can't govern a country if the public doesn't trust you to uphold its very foundations. You can't sign treaties if foreign leaders think you're unstable. You can't claim moral authority while British veterans sleep under bridges and you're seen attacking the monarchy. And the optics aren't just bad, they're catastrophic. Because it's all unfolding right now, in real time, for the whole world to see. Meanwhile, Prince William isn't sitting idle. Sources close to Kensington Palace reveal the heir to the throne has been quietly holding private meetings with Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, Conservative leadership figures, and even moderate Labour MPs horrified by Starmer's missteps. Palace insiders insist these talks aren't about politics, they're about protecting constitutional stability. But the message is crystal clear. The royal family will not be intimidated or sidelined. And here's the fascinating bit. Those present say, William starts each conversation the same way. I'm not here as a political figure. I'm here as someone who loves this country and wants to ensure we don't tear ourselves apart. That simple framing, insiders say, has been brilliantly effective, placing William firmly on the side of national unity, while subtly painting Starmer as the divider-in-chief. Nigel Farage himself stepped out yesterday, calm as you like, speaking with the confidence of a man who knows history's turning in his favour. While others attack our traditions and our king, Reform UK will always defend them. While career politicians panic and plot, we stand for the values that made Britain great. No anger, no showboating, just quiet, patriotic conviction. And it's clearly working. Reform UK's membership has exploded by 250% in the past 72 hours. Donations are flooding in faster than the party can process them. HQ in Westminster's had to bring in 12 extra staffers just to handle the influx of new supporters and volunteers. For the first time in modern British politics, Reform UK isn't just a protest movement, it's a serious alternative government in waiting, and the next 72 hours could be make or break. Parliament returns from recess tomorrow morning, and Keir Starmer must face Prime Minister's questions with his authority shattered, his MPs rebelling, and his legitimacy in tatters. On the other side of the dispatch box, Rishi Sunak is reportedly preparing what insiders call the most devastating parliamentary takedown in living memory. Sunak's team, sources say, has been working round the clock, gathering receipts, contradictions and leaked communications that prove Labour's campaign against the monarchy wasn't accidental. It was planned, coordinated and deliberate. The plan now, mate, is to drop such blinding evidence that even the most pro-Labour journos can't spin their way out of it. Reform UK is already calling for an emergency vote of no confidence, which could drag Britain into a full-blown general election, months ahead of schedule. Absolute chaos, yeah? Top constitutional experts are saying Britain's heading straight into uncharted waters. Professor David Langford of Cambridge told the BBC yesterday, "We're watching a head-on collision between elected power and centuries-old royal tradition, nothing like this since the English Civil War." And he's right. If Starmer keeps pushing, he could shatter the nation beyond repair. But if he bottles it now, he's politically done for. Proper toast. There's no middle ground left. Across the UK, from Cornwall to the Highlands, people are glued to their screens, debating this constitutional crisis over pints, dinners and group chats. Families are split. Mates are falling out. It's not just politics anymore. It's about what it means to be British. Right in the middle of this storm stands Keir Starmer, looking knackered, cornered and completely out of his depth. The bloke's gone from Mr. Steady Hands to man on the brink, so here's the £1,000,000 question, and it's one only you can answer. Did Starmer just commit political suicide by taking on the monarchy? Or does he somehow scrape through this absolute disaster? Could Prince William's bold move actually spark a change in government? And is Nigel Farage, the man every Westminster insider once wrote off, about to become the next Prime Minister of Britain? What do you reckon happens next? Does the king dust off ancient royal powers we haven't seen used since the 1600s? Does Labour ditch Starmer before Christmas to save face? Or does this whole saga blow up into something far uglier? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one, promise. Your take matters, because this story's rewriting history in real time. And if this saga shook you as much as it shook us, do your bit. Share it with everyone who needs to know what's really going down in Westminster. The mainstream lot won't tell you the full truth, but we will. Because the British people deserve honesty, not spin. Smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Because tomorrow we're dropping the exclusive leaked documents, showing exactly what Starmer's team were plotting next. And trust me, it's even darker than you think. The next chapter of this British constitutional showdown lands in 24 hours, and you do not want to miss it.